Hello everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of what we were talking about last time. Would you consider having a couples counseling to know whether you're compatible before marriage? And let's see what some of the people said. I will give my opinion on this later on. First, I'm gonna see what everybody else had to say about it. The answer to this question was not what I was expecting. As many people said no, some gave reasons, some legit said no. Well, to each their opinion, I guess. Someone said, I wouldn't personally go for counseling, but you would be able to, yes, you may have issues from your childhood that are unhealed, that you can find out comparatively yourself without the need of a counselor. Another said this would definitely be a GoPro, only if it would be a more of a discussion, and so the two may reveal each other rather than imposing things. Okay. Some said it wouldn't work for them as they would just know if they aren't compatible, while the other said she couldn't get counseling but wouldn't marry someone she hasn't been with for some time to get to know each other. I don't think you should wait more than 6 months to know more than 6 months to a year to know someone. That's just like my opinion. I think the more time you take to get to know someone, and then you start developing feelings or whatever, okay, yeah, you get to know them, and in the end you'll find out whether you're compatible or not. But I don't know, sometimes you're not compatible, but then you feel pressure to stay in the relationship because I don't know, you have committed to something. But I don't think that relationships should last. I don't know, you should last more than 6 months to get to know someone. That's again just like my opinion. I know this isn't something that comes to mind, but getting some form of counseling is very important before marriage, especially if you think the other person is hiding something. I was reading a post the other day where someone got married. She had high qualifications and didn't find out until 10 months of her marriage that her husband doesn't even have a degree. I know, catfish, innit? That legit deceiving someone, and it wasn't like that. He was working. The guy was skint, and she sacrificed a lot to keep the marriage together. When in reality, if a professional who has experience was to sit and have a chat, you never know what things you find about each other. And if you will be happy to take on the commitment and fix some of those issues, they might even have some psychological issues that you aren't aware of. I'm surprised not many countries do this. I used to live in Saudi Arabia, and I know for a fact they have a system in place where you can get counseling, and you have to do like a medical checkup and test. It's called premarital screening. You guys can look it up. Personally, if I had an option, I would definitely do it. Honestly, one surveyor said getting counseling and getting to know each other is better before making the final decision of getting married. And finally, marrying without knowing each other may cause issues and misunderstandings later on. So it's better to get to know each other before marriage. I 100% agree on that. And in terms of what makes a marriage successful, everyone said patience. Okay, yes, I agree, but there is a limit to everything. Don't kill yourself by being patient. I still can't get over the Sarah Inam case where God knows what she went through in the name of patience. What makes a marriage successful is respect, maintaining boundaries and loyalty, respecting each other's culture views as well, and maintaining family ties. Not having families become involved, making sure that your marriage is private and stuff like that. Any sort of relationship is most likely to be successful if your communication is strong. That's a fact. You gotta accept each other's flaws, the goods and the bads. Lastly, never go to bed with an argument going on. Guys, I'm not married. It's just common sense. We have read this everywhere. We know this, okay? Always resolve it before going to sleep. And I think people who have actually got married gave this opinion, so it definitely is working for them. So, guys, take notes, okay? Sometimes you don't need to go to other people for things regarding your marriage. You can fall into the habit of, we can't fix this, we need to tell other people so they can. No, don't do that. Fix it yourself. If you think like it's like a really like a big issue, like a major issue, then you get the elders involved. Do not ever get your friends involved in your marriage. I mean, I don't know, if you don't have anybody to trust, that's a different scenario. But guys, some of the stories that I've heard of like friends breaking each other's marriage and taking each other's husband. Yeah, I used to watch Star Plus dramas. No, it did not affect me. These are real stories that I've actually read. I read a lot of stories, by the way. That's why I've got a lot of knowledge. So yeah, for all the teas, come to me. I'll give it to you. I think Doing every action for the sake of Allah first makes a marriage successful. Before love, because sometimes love fluctuates, but if you maintain your intentions, you will ultimately sacrifice yourself for the will of Allah and become selfless spouses to each other. Then Allah may increase the love between you, which is true. Someone said, what makes a marriage successful is quite subjective and depends on the individual themselves. I would know my marriage is successful if I'm at peace with my partner and we're constantly pushing each other to be the best versions of ourselves. Arguments and disagreements are bound to happen, but what matters is the forward progression. There are some really good points over here, and I hope we can all benefit from it. Y'all better take notes, okay? I would have a whole podcast on this topic someday, on like the counseling topic, but that's it for now. Our question before the last one was, what is your opinion on a woman pursuing her career in after marriage? And I know that I talked more in detail about this in my previous podcast. So yeah, safe to say, 95% agreed on it, and the main reason being it's important for women to be financially stable, which we know why. I will share what others had to say about it. I wouldn't need to pursue a career if my husband takes on his role and responsibilities, but I personally plan to make my investments before marriage so that one, I don't have to work and can have financial freedom, and two, if things don't work out with my partner, I have financial stability and wouldn't need to depend on him. I get people's misconceptions about it. So let's say if you have kids, who will be there to raise them? So on and so forth. But I think people also need to realize that as women, some of us will decide to go to the highest level of education and then not to use that. It's almost like you went through all that work for nothing. Not all marriages are the same. I think if you have an open-minded relationship with your spouse, you can talk and work things out. I know like sometimes it might sound like if you're like working so hard and like I don't know whatever qualifications you have a PhD and then you don't get to work. I don't know if like it makes a lot of. I mean, it does make a lot of difference, but as long as you know you're educated, like once your kids grow up, you can still work. You can teach your kids. You know, just because I'm educated and I've got like a PhD doesn't mean I actually have to live a corporate life or whatever. I can do other things. I can just be a professor. Something you can definitely do something with it, but doesn't mean that you are useless if you're not using your education. Guys, please let's break this stupid mindset. Okay? Someone said, I think it depends on the family dynamic. If they can work scheduled together around her career with the main focus being the kids, it could work. If not, then the woman must have to sacrifice her career, or at least full-time career. Maybe she can work from home, which I know this is an option for a lot of people these days. For the sake of Allah to maintain the marriage, and the husband should compensate for her provisions what he can. Example, not just give her money for the children, but also herself. But just make sure you're not marrying a stingy man. Our last question was, is it our parents' responsibility to get us married, or can we like still look for spouses? We can look for spouses and our parents can too. However, they must never force us to marry a certain someone. It's not them who's going to get married, it's us. I think it's ours because you know whether or not you're ready for a relationship. However, some people said it's both responsibility, so your parents' responsibility as well as your responsibility. At the end of the day, parents will give you the best suggestions you need, but when you have to spend your life with someone, I think it's equally your responsibility to look for a partner as per your needs and mindset. So it's better you find someone similar to you and that person clicks. However, there's always that fear if you pick the wrong person or you choose the wrong person, then something bad would happen again from what we hear. Some of the points that we mentioned in this podcast are really beneficial, so I hope that you have benefited from it. In conclusion, investigate your intentions before committing to something as life-changing as marriage. I hope this was beneficial to you guys and y'all enjoyed it. We will touch more on those topics in the future. Do share your views in our comment section and share our podcast. We are always looking for stories to share, so if you want to inspire someone or want others to learn from your experience, then feel free to send us through our email. Until next time, annyeong! Assalamu alaikum.